Well, welcome everybody to this special edition, video edition of This Week at All Souls. And I have some great news to share with the people here at All Souls, both the members of our congregation and the community that we serve. Bishop Lawrence Provenzano, in consultation with your elected bishops committee, is pleased to announce that effective January 1st, 2022, make sure I get the year right, Father Tome Reese will become our priest in charge. This is exciting news on many levels for All Souls here. And although that seems like a long time away, January 1st, actually the time will go quickly. So we'd like to use this brief video as an opportunity to introduce Father Tome to you. And Father Tome, may I just start with a little question I think will help people to get to know you better. Could you briefly describe your career in ministry, maybe how it's evolved and some of the lessons that you've learned that you bring with you to your new role at All Souls?
Certainly, Dan, thank you very much. And I just want to thank you as warden, along with the Bishops Committee, for making this all happen. I'm really happy and excited, and I look forward to joining all of you at All Souls in January, as Dan says. I will be joining you, and you will be the fifth parish family that I've lived with over the years of my ministry. The fifth parish family, yet unique in ways that I've already experienced through my contact with the Bishops Committee. Let me just say a little bit about my path in ministry. I have served in 3 dioceses and 4 parishes with a variety of challenges. In 1980, I went to a church in Albany, New York, an urban parish with a big endowment where the challenge was stewardship. Everyone was saying, well, if there's so much money in the endowment, why do we need to give anything? Which is an odd challenge, but it was one nonetheless. In 1988, I went to a completely different parish, a smaller parish, a much smaller parish in a town setting in Connecticut. And their issue was that they actually had a big deficit. And the challenge over my 4 years there was helping them to improve their self-image. In 1992, I came to the Diocese of Long Island, which in a way was a homecoming because I had grown up on Long Island. With St. Anne's in Bridgehampton, 1992, as I said, the challenge there in a resort area was to evolve a summer parish into a year-round program. And after 8 years at St. Anne's in 2000, also in the Diocese of Long Island, I went into Queens, New York and Forest Hills, once again in an urban area where the issue was really the sustainability of a church in the middle of a non-Christian demographic and in the epicenter of cultural and ethnic diversity. Now, in all of these churches, there were many challenges, some similar and some quite different, but they were all opportunities for being the church in the 21st century amidst changing times. Issues like, how do we engage in faith formation for all ages in a changing world and a church that is seeking to adapt faithfully to those changes? In some cases, it was about keeping the doors open. In all cases, it was about growing as church and having a deeper sense of what that means, not just an organization with programs and events, but the heart of what it means to be a faith community, as well as developing ministry partners and a sense of the facilities of the church as a community center. And that was all about being the church that goes outside of itself. Throughout all of this, there's certainly been an evolution to my ministry, and I must say I am still evolving. After 42 years of ministry and the beginning of what will be my quotes retirement from full-time active ministry, I see that I've only just begun. A new phase of ministry is about to begin for me with all of you at All Souls. You know, one's evolution is not a straight line. It's not like an assembly line at an automobile plant. My evolution, at least, is more akin, if you don't mind the illustration, to a bunch of amusement park rides connected to each other. Sometimes ministry, sometimes life can be like a merry-go-round, where you seem to be going in circles and seeing the same things over and over again. But then it can be a Ferris wheel, where the rotation is in a much different attitude, and that height that you hadn't experienced before gives you an opportunity for acquiring a different perspective on things. There's also the ups and downs and backs and forths of a roller coaster, the thrills and spills of it all, which at times are very exhilarating, but also at times, as we all know from our own path in life, can be a time of frightened loss of breath. And then when you come back to the merry-go-round, even though you're going round and round, some of those same sights take on new meanings given the experiences you've been through. I'd like to say that in a way, this is what the sacraments of the church is like. They are the conveyors, the rides that take us through the turning points of life. We evolve, we change, we grow, we deepen in our relationships. Something I've learned throughout all these years of parish ministry is that depending on how you talk about things, you might hold people's attention or lose it for one reason or another. For example, if you start out by talking about change, which maybe a young maverick might do, it's not too long before the people are asking questions like, well, why do we have to change? You know, so many things are changing around us. Can't we just stay the same? And I realized that, okay, maybe change wasn't the good introductory banner. Rather, grow. Talk about growing, because everybody likes to grow. But even that eventually is going to lead to people asking, you know, okay, growing, what's it going to cost? So then perhaps the way to really understand it all is to talk about deepening relationships, enriching our community life with each other, a community life which is centered in Christ. And then we begin to realize that change and growth are the dynamics in everything we love. And that deepening our relationships, our love of God, and our love for everything in this life is what faith and faith community is all about. So there, in a sort of odd sketch, is who you're getting as I come to you after all these years of ministry.
Thank you for that very insightful answer. And you know, looking at your background and the experience that you've had and all the gifts that you obviously bring, you likely had many choices of where you could take on your next ministry. What was it that attracted you to All Souls?
Good question, and one that I have some real specific responses about. First, you know, in that question, what attracted me to All Souls? Let me just tell you a little bit more about me. I'm 68. I have 2 adult children, a 3-year-old granddaughter, a 92-year-old father. My spouse, Earl, was an academician turned pastry chef and has now been working in bakeries and restaurants for a number of years. And I have 4 decades of parish ministry experience. I realized it was definitely time for a change of location, but also a model change too. I recognized that I could best serve in a situation if I pay attention to certain realities about myself first, that I need to downshift from the 40 some odd years of administrative oversight of parish, administration of the programs that are housed in the parish facilities, budget issues and buildings and grounds concerns, and that retiring means I'm retiring from full-time ministry in order to refocus on the heart of ministry in the time that I will have with you. And for me, that refocus is about leading worship, preaching, teaching, and writing. And also to offer myself back to the Episcopal Church, which has given me so much over the years, by seeking a parish in need of a priest willing to enter into a part-time relationship. So that's the me that was looking at what could possibly be next. And what attracted me to All Souls right away was I could recognize your committed core of parish membership, not only in the leadership, the bishops' committee, but other people who take on roles, folks who are regular in attendance at worship, and through the pandemic have been very creative and adaptive to both the Zoom format and now in building again. But really that commitment and your faithfulness. You are people who have endured over time. You are the constant of All Souls throughout your most recent experience of numerous clergy who have been working with you and serving you lovingly and faithfully. Also, when I looked at your parish website, it suggested joy and celebration. Everything is about how to be together, how to express the love that by faith we believe is centered in Christ. And that's just plastered all over the website. Also, when I was visiting, I could recognize and see a very good kind of pride. Your church building and grounds is beautiful. Your doors are open. So many churches don't have open doors anymore. Your doors are open. Also, the rectory and the grounds at the rectory are beautiful. The refurbishment of the rectory is top-notch, and it's a beautiful home. So I saw the pride of all of you by visiting All Souls. And then your mission statement up on the wall in the narthex, the vestibule of the church. The very first time I was visiting, and that was actually before, long before I had met Dan. Earl and I took a ride out, and again, we were so happy to see open doors. And we walk in, and in the mission statement, where I read that All Souls is committed to meeting people where they are. And then somewhere I also picked up, the commitment to maintaining relationships ecumenically, interfaith relationships, or folks with no faith at all. And to me, that was a beautiful and very simply put statement of the classic understanding of our Anglican Episcopal heritage, that we're a bridge church that welcomes everyone. And when I saw that literally plastered on the wall, that said to me, this was like a good place to be.
You've definitely, I think if you asked me to describe, if I spent days thinking about what do we try to do, what do we want to convey, what do we believe in, I think you articulated it as best as I've ever heard it said. So thank you for your ability to discern all of that and share it with us in a cohesive way. We obviously look forward to your leadership. It's been a while since we've had a priest in charge, although we've been well served by various supply priests. Can you tell us a little bit in terms, drawing upon your experience, how you actually lead a congregation and how you envision being our leader here at All Souls?
Certainly. Whenever I think of leadership and ministry, I'm always thinking about all the people and all the members, and also the visitors and the people who maybe come once in a while, all the people growing in faith. A phrase from St. Augustine hit me many, many years ago, and I seem to carry it with me wherever I go, that what being the church is all about is knowing the mind of Christ, praying the prayer of Christ, and doing the deeds of Christ. And I think that's the banner headline for all of us. And living the baptismal promises, they're mapped out in the Book of Common Prayer in the baptismal service. I see living the baptismal promises as sort of the template or blueprint for what it means to know the mind, pray the prayer, and do the deeds of Christ. And having fun doing it. I think it's very important. But again, I see this at All Souls, a sense of joy and celebration. That's at the heart of our faith. And we can and should have fun, enjoy being the church together, and also in service with other people. In terms of leadership, I don't see myself tending sheep so much as developing other shepherds, so that to the best of each of our abilities and gifts and talents, we each take on a kind of leadership role, an opening up and a willing to be a part of what needs to happen in order to be the church most vibrantly and most faithfully. So I will be with you to encourage and support you in becoming active in faith in a way that All Souls needs and in a way that Christ needs. Because in the same way that Jesus gave a commission to the apostles, for each of us, we should be hearing that commission too. We're being counted on by God to be co-workers with Christ. In terms of how I act as a leader, you'll see over time, but I think you'll see it very quickly too. Collegiality is important to me. I see myself as priest with the people, not priest in charge of the people. Also, my style of ministry itself really doesn't have surprises. I mean, you'll get plenty of surprises in sermons. I love to dig, turn over things, look at it in different ways, throw it up in the air and say, what do you think about that? But when it comes to decision making, it's a careful consensus approach to making important decisions. I'm usually planned and organized, but I also can respond spontaneously. Life's a lot like that. But for the most part, you know, there's a plan. It's not just shooting from the hip all the time. And in all of this, I'd be asking all interested parishioners to embrace their baptismal calling and express their unique gifts and talents.
Just a few more questions here. Church has been around. You know, we're always humbled by our big sister church, Caroline, has been around since 1723. We've been around since just before the Civil War. And the historical church has been there since 1865. So obviously you're coming to us. You'll be with us for a period of time. And during that period of time, you know, given where we've been, given where you'd like us to be, what would you hope to accomplish at All Souls?
All right. This might seem a little bit humble or a slow beginning, but first off, what I would like to do is to listen to and with all of you. And based on what I hear and what we talk about, to develop and then to fine tune. And that's going to take a little bit, listen, develop, fine tune. But what I mean about that is that we get to know each other, that we share our stories, our hopes and concerns for All Souls and for all of us at All Souls, and together to develop a common vision for All Souls, for all of us being the church. What would it look like? And then this common vision would be fashioned so that together we could develop sustainable ministries, a rich parish life sustained by the grace of God and by all the members of All Souls. A rich parish life as fertile ground for growth. And first, by growth, I mean growth in faith, in acting upon the basis of faith, in being that community of joy and celebration and of creativity when there are challenges to face, and being a community of invitation and welcome, where we don't just want to enjoy that spirit of joy and celebration ourselves, we want to invite others in. And once they're with us, to welcome them all the more into the life of the parish.
Thank you, Tom. Just one last question, as I may, just by way of conclusion here. What are your interests? Is there anything else that you would like to share with the congregation and the community we serve before we wrap this up?
All right, I'll be quick about the interests. Writing is up there. It's really high. I'm looking forward to having time for writing theological and creative writing. I've got a number of projects that are waiting for me. Movies, books of all kinds. Food culture. You heard me say that Earl's a pastry chef. That's not the only reason I'm interested in food, although when you meet me, you might say, maybe you should be a little less interested. But I'm interested in why we eat what we eat and sort of like the history of food too. Exercise. The pandemic put a real crimp in the exercise routine, but we were just talking the other day about once we're at All Souls and living in Stony Brook, we're looking forward to linking up with a gym where there's swimming for that kind of exercise. We always do a lot of walking, and it's going to be a change from urban walking to walking in along the beautiful shores that are the Long Island Sound. Families and friends. My family, for the most part, is all located on Long Island. I grew up in Lake Ronkonkoma, so my siblings are in Lake Ronkonkoma, Bellport, a little bit on the East End. My dad's in Southhold. My kids, my granddaughter, they're in Bridgehampton. Earl is from Taiwan, so we have lots of family and friends in Taiwan too, and we tend to travel to Taiwan once or twice a year, and would be doing that once the skies open up again. And then you heard me mention granddaughter, my granddaughter Hadley. She's a real interest in my life, and she'll be 3 years old next week. Looking forward to watching her blow out some candles. And also that brings me back to the church. I think of Hadley, I think of children. I think of children a lot in our world today and the things they've been exposed to, everything from the coldness to the bitterness to the divisive nature of things. And I worry about our kids, which is why I think the church, I want to do everything I can in my ministry and in my life for the church to be home base, not just an option among many things to do, but at the heart of where we live, move, and have our being. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Tom. You mentioned movies. One of your interests, one of my favorite movies, of course, is Casablanca. There's that famous ending where Rick and Louis walk out together and they say, this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship. And reflecting on your responses, this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship. And we thank you and we thank the bishop and we look forward to your ministry.
Thank you, Dan, and looking forward to seeing everyone at All Souls. Everyone be well. Take care.